Running backs are often viewed as replaceable, non-reliable, and very hard to have a long, consistently good career being. But I think that is complete bull, and running backs are most definitely important. And every team needs one because they play a very big role in lifting the Lombardi in February. Running backs, however, come in many different shapes and sizes. But my personal favorite build for a running back has to be the Powerback. The Powerback is the importance of such stuff when it comes to being a good running back. It's hard-nosed style, like a bull ramming through a wall or the Hulk on a rampage. Nothing pumps up the crowd and creates a good offense quite like the Powerback. Now let's check out this position and see why it's so awesome. To first find out the anatomy and importance of the Powerback, let's look at the player who revolutionized this style of play. That being the late Hall of Famer Jim Brown. Jim Brown played from 1957 to 1965, playing a total of 9 years. And in those first 9 years, he made it count. With 8 first-team All-Pros, 3 NFL MVPs, and an NFL champion, and many more accolades. He was an unstoppable force in the field. Teams would stack their team head to toe with receivers and linebackers, and the Browns were like, that's cute, we got a Jim Brown. Jim Brown revolutionized this style of play. He was a pioneer. He was fast, big, and strong, and wasn't afraid to get those grinding, dirty yards of ramming into you over and over again and overpowering you. Defenses didn't know what to do and how to stop it. Brown was simply an anomaly of a player. The way he consistently going into hits and shrugging off tackles was too much for NFL defenses at the time. Now, to be fair, Jim Brown was ahead of his time. He was a player making plays years ahead of everyone. He was already playing 90s football when everyone was stuck in the 50s. He was also up against like 205, 210-pound linebackers. The announcers couldn't believe their eyes. They were like, here comes Jim Brown, and oh man, he's running. He's knocking over guys and running through everyone. He just shrugged off 2 Teeth Willie, an all-pro linebacker of 6'1" and 195 pounds of pot roast. How did he do it? That's why I picture again going the 50s with Jim Brown. Now, like it or not, football is a cold sport. Majority of the season is played in the fall and winter, and although teams may have strong starts in September and October, when it gets cold in November and December and January, that's when the true teams come out and play. And no better position for the offense is good for this than the Powerback. You see, just having a basic traditional running back does help in colder weather. However, if it's a smaller running back who's not used to getting those grinding yards, those hard yards of rushing through many guys, it could definitely wear them down, especially for a smaller running back not used to that. But the Powerback comes into play here. Their big physical style breaks down and wears on these defenses. There is a reason the Patriots, through some of the Super Bowl runs, had LeGarrette Blount as their starting running back. 6'1", 250 pounds, bulldozing people. And it's also a reason the Eagles picked him up in 2018 when they won their Super Bowl, and their starting running back was, again, LeGarrette Blount. Cold weather, great. Even Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs. Sure, he hasn't been as good as his peak, but his traditional downhill running style for the Chiefs sure does help in those cold games when they're facing the Houston Texans, or the Baltimore Ravens, or the Buffalo Bills. It does help, and it makes a great effort for their offense. And sure, there's an outlier with some teams like the Los Angeles Rams in 2021, but the best teams most of the time have a solid Powerback, specifically for those January and February games. Now, let me go into some specific Powerbacks of the years, alright? Now, let me tell you something, young people watching this video. Let me tell you something about the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye. I never watched him play. I'm 25. What do you want from me? But I'll tell you, when I played Madden 16 Ultimate Team and pulled his card, and I thought, who is this ancient man on my screen? And then I started on my team, and he was great. Short, stocky, running over defenders, getting those dirty, nasty yards. Then I'm thinking, how about I look this guy up? And I was not disappointed. This guy was awesome. It was like watching Derrick Henry in the 80s from Enugu, Nigeria, standing at 6'1", 253 pounds, and putting up over a 700-pound squat and a 475-pound bench press, and running a 4.45 40-yard dash. He was a genetic freak in putting defenses through the ringer. Now, believe it or not, he was a fullback. You see, fullbacks used to be used for a lot of running back today rather than just blocking as they do today. But he was a second-round pick in the 1987 draft, and he was worth the pick. He played 6 seasons, but managed to rush for nearly 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, and lead the league in rushing yards in 1989 with 1,480 rushing yards in 15 games. Again, he was a fullback. Everybody, not a starting running back, fullback. His career was short, but his impact was huge, and his size, speed, and strength, it helped Kansas City with a strong run game for the 6 years he was there. Okoye is now a Chiefs legend and is known as one of the best fullbacks ever. A few years after the greatness of the Nigerian Nightmare, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted their own downhill running fullback, that being Mike Asalot. Mike Asalot differs from Christian Okoye from the fact that fullbacks were slowly being transitioned to pure blockers, but they weren't quite there yet, and Mike Asalot encompasses the early 2000s. When you think of the mid to early 2000s football, I think of two players, Ray Lewis and Mike Asalot, the big shoulder pads with no sleeves and pure brute force style. Oh baby, take me back. I didn't watch much of him, but God, I miss it. Mike Asalot had the nickname of A-Train because he was the unstoppable force and he ran like a freaking freight train. Mike managed in his 11-year career to get 6 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pros, and a second-team All-Pro, becoming a big part of the Buccaneers team that won the Super Bowl in 2002. And although he played in Tampa Bay where it is hot, his size and brute force would play a huge factor in the NFC Championship game against Philadelphia. Although he didn't put up crazy stats, the big back was definitely wearing down the Eagles' defense. And Mike Asalot was not only an effective runner, but he was an effective blocker and pass catcher, racking up over 2,000 career receiving yards. Okay, so Mike Asalot is one of the best fullbacks ever, but we're talking about power backs who are running backs now. Let's get to some of the running backs who are actually power backs instead of fullbacks. Jamal Lewis, nicknamed Jamaler. I love that nickname. Now, Jamal Lewis was a running back. None of this fullback nonsense. Running back. He came to run, and that is it. The 5'11", 245-pound freak of nature. The Baltimore Raven, he only played 10 seasons, but managed to get 7 1,000-yard seasons in those 10 years. And one of those years, he missed completely due to injury. Now, Jamal Lewis was there during the prime Ray Lewis and Ed Reed era. And his first season was in 2000. And we know the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2000. And that year is chalked up to the Ravens as a dominant defense and an insane run. And although Trent Dilfer was not helping with the offense, a rookie Jamal Lewis certainly was, rushing for 1,364 yards and 6 touchdowns. In the AFC Championship game, he rushed for over 80 yards, and he rushed over 100 yards in the Super Bowl. Yes, the Ravens' defense was generational, but Jamal Lewis played a huge part in making sure that offense put up some points. And that was the best thing for the Ravens offense that year, and they were a huge part as to why they got to the Super Bowl. Also with Jamal Lewis, in 2003, he rushed for over 2,000 rushing yards. No shifty moves, no jukes and hurdles, just pure violence. Running through your face over and over and over again. Impossible to stop, and no team could stop it in 2003. And I don't think you realize, everyone, how hard it is to rush for that many yards with that specific style of play. It's incredibly hard to rush for 2,000 yards in general, but when Jamal did it like this, it was insane. When he did this, only 5 other running backs have done it, and Jamal was the first one to do it as a power back, not avoiding contact with jukes and spins, but running through defenses constantly. It's not only exhausting for the defenses, but also Jamal, and he got 2,000 yards! That is some of the most impressive stuff I've seen from a running back. Jamal Lewis finished over 10,000 career rushing yards and is considered one of the best running backs of the 2000s. Now, the pure NFL power back in modern day football is fading out. A lot of running backs becoming versatile with the pass catching, blocking, and being lighter and more agile, but there is still a few diamonds hidden in the rough, and one of those guys is Nick Chubb. Now, I want to say, as a Ravens fan, I love Nick Chubb. He may be a Brown, but I'll always admire how good he was and how violent and rough he plays as a running back at the position. Nick Chubb isn't as big or as firm as the other power backs mentioned. He's about 5'11" and just under 230 pounds, but that doesn't stop Nick Chubb from being an absolute bowling ball on the field. Chubb is absolutely ripped and hits a 675-pound squat with crazy depth, gives Chubb enough power to consistently shrug off tackles and break through big-time runs. Chubb was truly unstoppable. We've never seen a running back so fast, so strong, so durable, and exert so much force when running. Chubb's explosiveness was his best strength. Chubb managed to make cuts during big runs and still managed to explode out of those cuts with just as much force as he just started running with. A truly nightmare matchup for any defense. In Chubb's career, he managed to get 5 1,000-yard seasons. Yes, it was 5. He had 1,000 yards in his rookie season, but Freddie Kitchens ran a shitty play call where he lost 5 yards. Chubb got it, no discussion. Anyway, during that 5-year stretch, Chubb was one of the best running backs in the league, and in 2023, dare I say, he was the best running back in the league. He unfortunately suffered a bad injury in 2024 and has come back since then playing for the Houston Texans. And he is not the same player, but he is still fine and doing some service for the Houston Texans. But he clearly isn't the same. But Nick Chubb's prime years won't be forgotten for how dominant and scary of a power back he was. Now, we have talked about some great power backs from the 50s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. But I'm going to finish this video off with the best power back of all time. Yes, I said best power back of all time. And you could probably guess who it is by clicking on the video. And you would be right. Derrick Henry. Now, before I start glazing Derrick Henry, I'm going to say this. I'm not saying he's the best running back ever, but I'm saying the style of play of being a power back, I think I've seen him be the best version of this out of any player ever. So, it's just my opinion, but I genuinely believe he's the best power back ever. And I'll get into why. Derrick Henry has been in this league for almost 10 years. And he is at the ripe age of 31 years old. And usually with running backs, they're kind of anomalies, you know? They start off pretty good, they get older, they wither out, and they're done. Derrick Henry struggled in his first 2 years, and he popped off in his third year. And I'm not saying Derrick Henry right now is at his peak, but Derrick Henry, at the age of 31, is better than the first 4 years in the league he was a running back right now. And that is insane considering, again, he is a power back. Rough and tough style. There is great running backs who form this move, like Barkley will do it occasionally, be a power back move, or Adrian Peterson, but those guys can do versatile stuff. They can hurdle, they can juke and spin. Derrick Henry doesn't do any of that nonsense. He runs straight forward, punching you in the face, smashing into you. That's all he does, and that's all he's done his entire career, and he's mounted a Hall of Fame level career. Hall of Fame level career. The fact Derrick Henry right now has only gotten injured once, really, in his long-term career, is insane. It's insane to me. And that year he got injured, he played 8 games for 937 yards. And truly insane. Derrick Henry is a last breed. I know I talk about Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb is one of the last breeds, but he got hurt and he's not the same player, unfortunately. But Derrick Henry is Hall of Fame bound, the level of play he's doing right now. His stats are already better than Nick Chubb's, and I think his peak's better. I think he's better than Jamal Lewis all time. I think he's better than Christian Okoye and Mike Asawat. And you're going to think, like, oh, he's better than Jim Brown. Derrick Henry is better than Jim Brown. All time. Even as a running back. No disrespect to Jim Brown. His stats are insane. Truly, Hall of Fame player for sure. He played in the 50s. If Derrick Henry's playing there, dude, he would rush for 2,500 yards like a season. A season. Easily, dude. It's a different game. I'm not discrediting Jim Brown, but it is a different game than it is now. Derrick Henry, the style of play he does is so insane because no one plays like this. Truly, no one in the NFL can play like Derrick Henry does and succeed at it anymore. And he's still doing it. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Ravens fan. This guy, Derrick Henry, crushed my Ravens multiple times with the Titans. The division round game, I think it was the week 11 or 12 season game when they came back. This dude has haunted my Ravens, okay? I'm saying this as a whole. Derrick Henry has been the best power back of all time, and I don't think any running back has quite perfected the style better than Derrick Henry, considering how smart analytics are and defenses are, and how basic it is of Derrick Henry just running down the middle. It's truly insane, especially with the Ravens offensive line this year struggling. He doesn't care. He's still killing it. Unbelievable. And that comes to Derrick Henry through his body. His body's an anomaly. Of course, everyone is a gifted athlete in the NFL, and obviously Derrick Henry's not the strongest running back or the fastest running back, but the way his body is built just absorbs damage and just keeps on going. Now, Derrick Henry's, now he's not as big as Christian Okoye or as strong as a Nick Chubb or as fast as a Jamal Lewis, but this guy has all the traits combined together to make the perfect rough and tough style of running back. And that is why Derrick Henry is truly great. Derrick Henry, in his near 10 years of career, is on pace for his 7th 1,000 rushing yard season and has over 12,000 rushing yards all time. Now, he's not going to reach GOAT status, unfortunately, because he's going to need to have a few more 1,000 seasons past the age of 32, which is not likely to happen. However, Derrick Henry has cemented himself as one of the best running backs ever, and I think the best running back of the 2010s and the 2020s so far. Will another version of this style of player come out? Maybe, but it is so rare for this style of player to come out now that I just don't think it's very likely, and I think Derrick Henry is going to become a true, anomaly, like a god in the future eyes of the NFL fans, saying this guy was in the era of Devon Achane and Barkley and McCaffrey, who they catch, block, and run. This guy only ran the ball, and he was better than all of them. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy. That's Derrick Henry. But that's just my opinion. But that's why I love power backs, man. They're needy. You need to have power backs in this league. Because no matter where you are on the earth, If it's in the South, if it's in the West, in the East, eventually you're going to have a game where it needs to get physical and you need to punch someone in the mouth, and the Powerback is the perfect player for that role. And that is why I think it is truly important for every team to have one, and it's truly crucial to lift the Super Bowl in February. Thank you for watching, everybody. I just want to make a video on the Powerback because it's something I've been very interested in, and it's become my new favorite position in the NFL. But that is all for me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.